Hello, everyone. Welcome to KK4Z. My name is Scott, and boy, I know it's been a while. But 2024 was one heck of a year for us. Just a lot of things happening all the time. I didn't get on the air as much as I wanted to. I didn't get out camping as much as I wanted to. I had to take care of my wife. I had to take care of family. I had to take care of things. It was just a very tumultuous year, but hey, I made it. It's 2025, and here we are, January 6th, and hopefully this year is going to be a better year. I've got a couple things planned this year. I've got some new technologies I'm using with YouTube and making videos. I am actually doing this through two cameras now. I got an iPad Pro for Christmas, and I got my iPhone, and using an app called Final Cut Pro, I can link both the iPhone and the iPad together. So I'm actually shooting two different videos, but they're synchronized. And when I bring them into Final Cut, I can edit them, and they're already synced like they're supposed to be. So I'm experimenting with that. Wanted to, again, try to up my game. I know I said that last year, but man, it just didn't happen like I really wanted to. So hopefully this year, I've got some more and better tools that'll help me to put out some little bit better content. I hope anyhow. This year I've got Winter Field Day. I'm going to participate in that probably as more of an observer because I want to create more content both for my blog KK4Z.com and for YouTube, and you can't always do both. So I'm going to try to do a little more of this type work and a little bit less of the radio work. In February, I'll be at Hamcation. This past year, I also joined Army Mars and Shares, and they're having a dinner/forum at Hamcation this year. So I decided to go to attend the dinner and the forum and meet some of the people I talked to on the radio. Training for Mars is pretty rigorous. I mean, it's not, they're pretty strict with their protocols, but boy, it's an efficient net. I've also joined Shares, and that's shared resources, whereas Army Mars is sponsored by the Department of Defense. Shares is sponsored by the Department of Homeland Security. So I participate in both of those, and it's interesting and it's fun to do, which also kind of, taking away some of my other stuff. March, April, and May, I plan on going camping a couple times, and this year I think I'm going to try to concentrate on CW and QRP this go around. I kind of fell away from that. I kind of got busy last year. I went to CW Innovations at the beginning of 2024, and then, it was about the time I was graduating the course, things just started happening, so I kind of fell away. And so this year I'm hoping to kind of get back into my CW groove and do a little more at home and do a little more out. So I've got 3 camping trips planned, and that'll be fun. And of course, I'll do videos and blogs about that. I also want to, put out a couple more technical things. I just posted a blog about resonant versus non-resonant antennas. It'll make some of you happy and probably some of you not so happy, but it's a case of it is what it is. It's, where the math led me, and that's just the way things are. One of the things I try to do is I'm not trying to push an agenda or an opinion, so to speak. But when I do some of this technical stuff, it's really just to kind of, broaden people's minds. I do a lot of research when I do something like that. And so, if I can help you know a little bit more, be a little bit better, then I've done something. Of course, probably some of you just think, what I do is a bunch of stuff. And let me go on to say that I'm going to continue this year And if I do any reviews, it's not a deep down, in-depth technical review. What I do is if I get a new radio, I'll take it to the field, I'll use it for a couple months, and I do it like a lot of people do it. I'll go to the field, I'll set it up. Sometimes I'll read the manual, sometimes I won't. I'll get my impressions about how the radio works as a user, not a deep down, I've read every last word of the manual, but really it's more how most people use their radios. Most people don't use a third to a quarter of the stuff that the radio has. And that's really the way I look at it. So if I do a review and you're expecting a deep down, technical dive, I typically don't do that. When I've done comparisons, it's not, I'm not necessarily measuring, dB by dB, watt by watt. What I like to do is sit there like I have done. I've taken two radios, focused on, let's say, one signal. I did one review where it was the CQ Worldwide DX contest for CW. Very crowded band conditions. I found one signal that was, pretty good, and it looked like they were going to be there a while. They were running a frequency, and I had my two radios. And what I did is I took the coax off of one, put it on the other. Took the coax off of that one, put it on the other. I kind of compared them. And sometimes the settings I use aren't the settings that I use, because how I do things are different. So sometimes I'll go and I'll see how other people are doing settings, and I'll kind of set them up that way, and it's a better comparison. Like I did one review where I watched a guy that's very popular do a review on a radio, and I saw how he set up his radio, and so I said, okay, well, to do a kind of a comparison, I set my radios up like he set his up and ran them. And so that way, when you look at what I did and you can look at what he did, and I've equalized the radios, then it maybe helps your opinion. But again, I'm not doing in-depth technical stuff. There's plenty of people out there do it. I just look at it from a user's perspective, and that's it is what it is, because I think that's how most people use their radios. They take it out of the box and they start monkeying with it, and they get it to where they like it. And so, just take it with a grain of salt. Just understand that what I do is not, down to the milliwatt or microdecibel, however you want to put it. So this year I hope to do some more stuff. Like I said, I do put some technical stuff out. It's really for fun and for common knowledge, and I'm not trying to, prove a point or saying how smart I am, because I'm not. I just do a lot of research and I monkey with stuff, and I kind of like math, so I get into math a little bit. So enough about that. Today, again, I'm using some new technology I'm trying out. Like I said, I've got actually two cameras rolling. I have me over here. One of the things that, maybe I would try to make the videos a little bit better if I have a little bit more of me talking to you face to face, rather than, my hands talking to you. I mean, it's okay, and a lot of people do it, but I think that, I really want to get a little more personal with my videos, and I really want you to see me and see my expressions more. Not that I'm handsome or anything, but I think as human beings that we react better when we see each other. And so I want to make these videos a little more face to face. So that being said, I am going to have to turn my head, because I have my KX2 set up, and part of my experiment is to muck with this. And I want to show you kind of how I set my KX2 up, because I want you to, get an idea. Again, like I said, a lot of people, they grab these things, they take them outside, and they just, twist all the knobs, but they don't really go in depth. And when I do QRP, most of the time I'm doing CW. If I am doing digital, I'm doing something like FT8. But on the KX2, I mostly just do CW. And I haven't taken this radio out near as much as I should have. And over the last year or two, I've gotten rid of some radios, bought radios, sold, and now I'm down to a number where I can use the radios I have more. So I wanted to talk about how I set up my KX2. And this is just real general. I mean, there's other settings, but this is just to kind of give you an idea of what I'm doing. Over here, again, I'm going to have to turn my head away so I can see the radio. If you look over here, a lot of people use that for decoding CW. And, really, you should be putting it up here. This is your best filter. This is better than noise reduction. This is better than filtering. This is your best filter, a CW op who can head copy and pull the signals out of the weak and has about, believe it or not, almost 1 S unit, and that's 6 dB for those that, do that, 6 dB better than some machines. And they do that because our brains have a better DSP unit in discerning between, what is Morse code and what is static in the background. If you've ever watched CW decoders, as it gets noisy, they stop decoding or they slow down and they start making more errors, where a good CW op who knows his CW can pull that stuff out. That's one of the advantages of CW. So I don't use the decoder on my KX2. What I have here instead, this is the time. The KX2 lets you set your time up, and you have to set it initially at least, and you can adjust it fast or slow. But if you've got the internal battery on there, as long as you got battery power, it'll hold that time, even if you turn it off and on. That frequency is probably within a couple seconds of when I first initially started it. And for keeping a log, a couple seconds ain't going to matter. Actually, a couple minutes aren't going to matter, but it does keep good time. And that way, when I am operating CW and I have my KX2 in front of me and I'm logging, I have the time right there. I don't have to look at a watch. I don't have to look at my phone. I can just write it. There it is. So that's one of the things I like to do, is I set my KX2 up to sync the signal. And if anybody's interested, I can do a video on how to do that, at another time. But it's just convenient for me because typically when I'm operating in the field, my KX2 is like right in front of me. So that's one of the things I do. The other thing I want to talk about, and again, this is not an in-depth, this is what I do. This is just kind of a few things that I do that I like to do, is the KX2 allows you to program 4 buttons. And I've got 3 of them programmed. And the way you access those, if you look over here at the ATU button, right below that, it says PFN. That stands for program function. So if you want to use a program function, you push and hold that button. That's what the yellow nomenclature is for. It means to push and hold it. When it goes beep, then you pick, and you can see below here, pre is number 1, fill is number 2, ATU is number 3, and XMIT is number 4. So when you push and hold the PFN button until it beeps and then hit a number, you will get what your program function is. And I'm going to try and do this. It's a little awkward for me because I have to reach over my iPad, which is what's looking at the KX2. But we're going to see how it goes. So I'm going to do the first one. Okay. So the first one I did is RF gain. RF gain can be your friend. I don't use it a whole lot on, when I'm doing the KX2 because I'm out in the field and usually I am the hunted, I'm the activator. And so, yeah, typically I don't need it. But sometimes if the band is really noisy or there's like a contest going on or something, sometimes turning down the RF gain lets you hear other stations better. Now, it does not, in an SDR radio, RF gain does not reduce the signal strength. And I'm probably going to do an article on this, but let me talk about it just briefly. Your A to D, your analog to digital converter, has a certain bandwidth, okay? And we'll say it's this much. And you can see that this is called dynamic range. That means this is the range in which the analog to digital converter can work. What RF gain does is it moves it up or down based on the signal. So if your RF gain, let's say your RF gain is 0, okay, and then we'll just say my fingers here are noise. By increasing the RF gain, what you're really doing is you're moving the bandwidth above the noise so you can hear the signal better, but it does not reduce the strength. And that's just real broad stroke, okay? I know somebody's gonna say, well, Scott, it's really, well, yeah, I know, but in very general, very concise, small, couple sentence terms, that's kind of what it does. So I keep that, like I said, if things are noisy or whatever, I can just hit that button, I can adjust the gain, and then I can get out of it by hitting PF1 again. It goes back to what I normally have. Now PF2 turns out the backlight. Why is that important? Well, as you can see in the video, I don't need that backlight. It, when there's enough light, I can see everything without the backlight. And what that does is it saves the battery. And if I'm out somewhere where I'm just on battery power, that'll give me a little bit more talk time before the battery runs out. And then the battery will run out at about 10 volts. So, but by turning off the backlight, boom, it's done. Piece of cake. All right, to put it back on again, you do the same thing. You push the ATU and then hit number 2, and boom, there it is. All right, and then lastly, the last one I have is, I believe this is Vox, and this is number 3. So I'm just now you can look right over there. You see the Vox, and what that does for me anyhow is what I use it for is in CW mode. Vox has to be on for you to transmit CW. That's how you turn your break-in on and off. And so by being able to turn it on, now you can see that the Vox is now off. How I like to use that is if I'm working a pile up, or if I'm hunting, especially when I'm hunting, if somebody is real slow, sometimes what I like to do is I like to turn off my break-in this case, turn off the Vox, slow down my speed, and if it's like real slow, I'll make mistakes, so I'll slow it down. I'll send a couple characters with the radio turned off, so to speak, with the transmitter turned off, just to get my cadence right. Then I'll hit that button, and I can send better to people who are slow. And we're all slow, and so I try to accommodate people who are slow, because if they're sending at 13 and I'm sending at 22, they're probably not understanding. And and it's not nice to do that. If somebody's struggling, you want to help them, not hurt them, and you don't want to run them off. So that's it for this first video. New year, I went a little long, but I wanted to talk about a few things. I appreciate you guys. I really do. I always get excited when I see somebody new, joining the channel. I mean, it means I'm doing at least something right for someone. But I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you being there. I appreciate your comments, good, bad, or indifferent. It's a great community. I hope 2025 is going to be a better year for all of us. And so with that, Happy New Year, best wishes, and 73. This is Scott, KK4Z.